Okay, we are back for part 2, and we will get started on the egg noodles again. I had my part 1, I had my noodle dough resting for an hour. So it's rested for an hour, wrapped in saran wrap. I've got some extra flour in a bowl, and I'm going to move you over here. You can see what we're doing. And I've set it up over here. So this is my hand crank, and I've got it fastened down. This will be my rolling part that rolls. And then we'll switch over to the other side whenever we're actually cutting the noodles. So, first thing we're going to do, this is a very large batch. I doubled it. So the first thing we're going to do is get our dough out. My old hands just don't work like they used to. Okay, so since this is such a large batch, I'm just going to be cutting this into sections. And it's a little sticky, so I'm going to make sure that I have flour to add to this. And I'm just going to add just a little bit of flour all the way around so it's not as sticky to handle. And I'm going to kind of work that around a little bit. That way I can handle it. And see how pretty that looks? No breakage, nice and smooth. That's the texture that you're wanting. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to cut it in sections. So that's a lot of dough. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to lay half over here in my saran wrap, and I'm just going to wrap that up. And I'm going to lay that off to the side. That way it doesn't dry out on me. And then we're going to work with this half. So I'm going to make sure it's not real sticky. So I'm going to add just a little bit of flour, kind of work it in. And you can see how nice and smooth that is. There's no breakage. And then we're going to use small pieces to run through here. We're not going to run all of this through at a time. So I'm just going to kind of pat this out a little bit. And I'm just going to cut this in some sections. I usually have my counter, but this thing only goes in one direction, so I'm trying to make do here. Okay. And you don't want to send a whole lot of dough through at one time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of flatten this out into little round patties. About like so. I put a little bit of flour on this because I don't want this sticking to my noodle crank. So I got it floured. And I got this on the largest setting. You want to start at your largest setting. Whoops. And there went my handle. So that'll get you started. Apparently my handle wasn't locked in there very well. So let me wash my hands real quick here. I'm used to doing it on the opposite side of the kitchen, but I'm limited on my camera view. Now I do have the KitchenAid, but I don't have the attachment. You can also get the attachment for the KitchenAid, and it's a lot faster. I just like doing everything the old-fashioned way. Hi, how are you? It's laundry day, so you may hear my washer and dryer in the back. If you do, I apologize. Okay, now I want to put this back through, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour. I want to run it through twice on the largest setting. Let's see if the handle will stay in this time. As you can see, that did not stick. It came out smooth. So now I'm just going to add some more flour. And I'm going to go down another size, make it a little bit smaller. Want to make sure you have flour on that. And then we're going to take it from a 1. We're going to move it to a 2. Now we're going to run it through the 2. And the more your dough stretches, the longer it's going to get, of course. So you can see how that's lengthening. Again, we're going to put some more flour on. And we're going to run it through one more time. Okay, so that's twice through number 2. And it depends on how thick you want your noodles. And this looks good for me. So I'm just going to fold this over on itself. And set it to the side. And then I'm going to get my next piece. We'll take it back to the largest setting. You can run them all through at once on the same setting, which is easier, so we'll do that for these next ones. You just want to make a patty, about like so. And we're going to run this through twice. And we're going to get some flour. Make sure we get it floured on both sides. We don't want it sticking to the machine. And we're going to run it through again. Don't know why my handle is not staying in today. Just not cooperating with me. This is so much easier if you have 2 people. Okay, so that's ran through twice. And we'll go ahead and just flour that on both sides. And I'm going to let that set. And I'm going to go ahead and run the other ones through twice on that setting. So I'm just going to fold that one up on itself. And we're going to get this one into a patty. You just want enough flour on there where it's not sticking. Get a little bit more just to make sure. And this one's going to be a very thick one. So I'm going to cut this one in half. Because I'm doing it by myself today. And I don't want too much dough in there. Let me go ahead and run that through again. We'll go ahead and flour him a little bit so he don't stick, and we'll fold it over. Get my next one ready. This takes a little bit of time, but it's so rewarding. Okay, that one's been ran through twice. I'm going to flour him and fold him. And I know this one's going to probably be too much dough, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this one in half. If I had help, it would probably not be that difficult, but my hands just do not work like they used to. So, making smaller patties. Do once, and flour him again, and we'll run him through again. Go ahead and flour him and fold him. And then we'll get our last piece through. You just want enough flour on there so it's not sticking in the machine. We'll flour him and run him through again. Okay, now since I decided that this is the one I want, I'm going to move this to 2. And I'm going to run these through twice. Make sure I got good flour on there. There's once, and I'll run him through again. And I'm just going to fold him over, lay him with this one. Now that's the thickness that I want for my noodles. So I'm just going to fold him and lay him over there. Run this one through twice. And if you have someone that likes to help you in the kitchen, this goes a little faster if you do have 2 people or more. I think I ran it through twice. I'm not sure if I ran that one through twice or not, so I'm going to go ahead and run it through. I get distracted when I talk. A little bit of flour on there so it doesn't stick, and I'm going to fold it over. It's just so nice to have stuff that you've made yourself. And you have it ready and in your pantry. If you need it, it's ready. Okay, that's one. And you can see how these are stretching out. So if they're too long for you to handle, you can always cut them in half. And since it's me, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one in half. And run it back through. Because I'm just making egg noodles for, like if we want chicken and noodles. These make a nice Alfredo noodle. My husband absolutely loves noodles. Again, that one's going to be really long, so I'm going to cut it in half. Now, if I had help, I wouldn't be cutting these in half. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to handle. Flour those so they don't stick together. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one in half. This takes a little bit of time, but it's cold outside, and I thought, well, I'll just make some noodles. And our last one. And once we get this one done, we'll move to the other side. Okay, now I ran each one of those through twice. Now I'm going to go over here and get set up for the other side. Man, this handle is just having a day, I'm telling you. My hands just do not work like they used to, that's for sure. Get everything washed off here, and we'll move over to the other side. Oh, said hi. Hi, Jack. Sorry, I didn't see that. I was cranking the noodles through. Okay, I'm going to move over here to this side. And I'll bring you over to this side. See if I can find a steady place to set you there. Whoops. I don't know if I will be able to get it close enough. Let's try it. There we go. And I'm going to bring this down so you can see the cutter. And I'm going to be using the larger noodle. So now we're going to go ahead and cut these. And there you can see about the size of the noodle. Let me see if we can't go a little bit bigger. Not wanting to get them in there this morning. So there you can see the size of the noodles. And then what I'm going to be doing with the noodles is I'm going to be laying them out. And I'm just going to scatter them. And all I have is some aluminum foil on a cookie sheet. And I'm going to add just a little bit of flour to these so they don't stick. I'm just going to kind of toss them. And then once I get them floured a little bit, they'll separate. And I'm just going to let them lay for about 24 hours and let them dry. So let me go ahead and get these separated. Like I said, this works a little bit faster if you have 2 people. I'm usually by myself, so I'm used to working by myself. But you want them to just have enough room to where they can lay here and dry. And then they'll be shelf safe. So that's what we're working on this morning. Working on some noodles. Aren't those pretty? Then I'm going to add a little bit of flour. And toss them in flour. That way they'll separate a little better. Again, if you're working with someone else, this won't take quite as long. And I don't want to over stack them. I want to have them spread out enough to where they got good air space so they can dry. So you're starting to see how nice those look and how nice they separate when they're tossed in the flour. Again, you don't want to overstack them. And I just have mine on some cookie sheets on aluminum foil. And I'll leave them out approximately 24 to 48 hours, depending on the temperature in the house. And I'll come in every now and then and check them. And if I need to, I can toss them around a little bit just to make sure that they're all getting good air and drying. So that's how fast and easy it is to make your own egg noodles. Mine's going a little bit slow today because I am working alone. But see how nice those look. Those will make some very nice noodles. And I'm going to toss some more flour. So they'll separate. That dough was perfect texture. Not too sticky, not too dry. Again, like I said, it depends on your temperature outside and in your home. You may find that you need to add a little bit more or take away a little bit more. Maybe add a little more water, and then if it's too sticky, add a little more flour. So you'll know by the texture. You don't want it too dry and you don't want it too sticky. Okay, so I think that's a nice tray of noodles. And I'm going to set those to the side and get my next tray. But that's quick and easy. You can always have them ready and in storage. Add some more flour. Toss them around a little bit. And they separate nice. And you can make a wider noodle or a thinner noodle. This is just a setting that I have it on. These will make really nice chicken noodle soup for the nice noodles for the chicken noodle soup. So we did about half of the dough. I'll go ahead and run these through. And then I will go ahead and end this one. And then part 3 will be when these are dry and ready to be put into your pantry. So it will be your storage. So I'll go ahead and run these through. And then we will end this one. And then we will have part 3 within 24 to 48 hours, so you can see how nice they dried and how nice they look when you put them away in your pantry. Just takes a little bit of time. But I know there's no preservatives in it. I know I have it in the pantry. I don't have to worry about going out to pick up noodles when I need them. If I start to run low, I can just make some more and have them ready. It's just convenient, especially for me when we go camping. It's always nice to have things put away in the pantry and ready to just pick up and go. I'm going to cut this one in half. Again, I'm just lightly flouring these to make sure they don't stick in the machine. I'm hoping you can see that coming through there and how pretty they are. I'm going to add some flour. Toss them so they'll separate. You can see how nice they're turning out. It's just so nice to have things put away in your pantry. You know that you've made it yourself. You took that extra time. And I spend a lot of my time alone and off and on. So during my alone time, these are my little things that I like to do. Make nice healthy foods and put them away in the pantry for myself and my family. And I only mixed up only cut half of that dough for this part 2, just to show you what the noodles look like and how to use the noodle machine, noodle cutting machine and rolling machine. And then I will go put these out in these cookie sheets lined in aluminum foil. And I'll leave them lay out about 24 to 48 hours, depending on the temperature. Sometimes they'll dry faster, sometimes it takes a little longer. And every once in a while, I'll go in and check them. If I need to toss them a little bit to give them some more space to make sure they're not laying over top of each other, I can do that. But it usually takes about 24 to 48 hours. Or if you have a hanging rack, you can hang them. People even hang them on the metal clothes hangers and just hang them up. That way they're not in their way. You can do that. So whatever you prefer. And these will be healthy for you. You know what's in it. You're the one that made it. You know there's no preservatives in it. I'm going to go ahead and cut that one. If I had help, I would just run them through long. But since it's just me, I'm running them through a little shorter today. To me, this is relaxing. They make such absolutely beautiful noodles. Again, I'm going to put some flour on them and just toss them. That way they'll separate. And I have several trays, cookie sheets that I've got lined in aluminum foil because I don't want these to be overlapping each other to where they can't dry properly. So I'm kind of spacing them out on my cookie sheet, making sure that they're separated. And I'll do this one and then we'll move to another cookie sheet. And I did put my other half of my dough in saran wrap. That way it didn't dry out while I was working on this. Because I'm doing it by myself, I'm not as fast as if I had help. So it just keeps the dough nice and moist. I really like this little noodle maker. It's small, it's easy to store. It does an amazing job. I'll bring these over and let you see how nice those look. And of course, I'm leaving plenty of airspace for them to dry. Okay, and I got 2 more, and then we'll go ahead and end this one today. And then within 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on the temperature, when these are dry and ready to be put in storage, I'll come back on and do part 3. And then that way you can see how I put these away in my pantry for storage. That's why I'm just doing part 1 and part 2 today. That one's not wanting to grab in there. Working down in there a little bit. Those just turn out so pretty. Then I'm just tossing them in flour so they'll separate. And these dry so nice. And you'll know that they're dry when you pick them up and you can snap them and hear the snap. And then even after I hear the snap, I'm going to leave it out just a little bit longer to dry, just to make sure that there's no more moisture left in the noodles. Okay, and we'll do our last piece. And then we will end this one for here today. And then we will do part 3. Like I said, it'll probably be 24 to 48 hours, depending on the temperature in the house and the atmospheric temperature outside. Because sometimes they'll dry faster than others. And that's just not wanting to go in there either. Sometimes you have to help these to get started. So I just put a little bit of dough down in there to get it started. And like I said, I do have the KitchenAid, but I don't have the noodle attachment. I'll just use the hand crank. Okay, and we'll go ahead, and that basically took us through half of the dough. I didn't want to be on here for a long time. Just wanted to show you how easy it was to make your own pastas using the hand crank. And then you can have them stored in your pantry. I'm using a little bit of flour on them so they will separate easier. So I'm just kind of tossing them in flour, scattering them out on cookie sheets with aluminum foil to dry. And then I will come back and finish the rest of my noodles here in a little bit. I just didn't want to have you on there too long. And there you can see how nice those noodles look. So, we're going to go ahead and end this one. And then I'll go ahead and get the rest of my noodles ran through and do a kitchen cleanup. And today's laundry day, so I'm working on laundry. And I've made a little bit of a mess in the kitchen this morning, which is great because if you're making a mess, you're making something good. That's the way I look at it. So, that was part 1 and part 2. And then here are the noodles that I've got laid out. Try and get back far enough where you can see that. And I'm just going to leave them on these cookie sheets lined in aluminum foil for 24 to 48 hours and let them dry nice. I've got them coated in some flour so they're not sticking together. And every now and then I'll come in and toss them to make sure that they're all drying evenly. If there's any that's overstacked. But that's how nice the noodles will turn out. So I hope that was informative. I have a lot of chores yet I want to try to get done today. Today's laundry day. So I'm doing laundry and was doing some noodles. So I hope that was pretty quick. Hope that wasn't too boring. I didn't go through it too fast. And that was part 1 and part 2. Today was mixing up the dough, letting it rest for an hour, and then coming back in and using the noodle maker, the pasta maker. So, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here, go ahead and finish the rest of my noodles, and get my kitchen cleaned up, and work on some more house chores. So, till next time, till part 3, I'll see you. It'll be probably 24 to 48 hours. And I'll be back and we'll do part 3. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you like this. And I'll see you the next time.